Good morning, everybody. Well, here we are in South Florida. Crisp, cool morning. Beautiful sunshine out there. And we're here to talk to you again about how not to get ripped off by a car dealer. Whether you service the car, buy the car, maintain the car, it's kind of a scary experience. Gallup annual poll on honesty and ethics in professions ranks car dealers right down at the bottom. And it's been that way for the past 50 years. Gallup poll's been doing that for about 50 years on this particular test. So you're used to it. If you bought a car before, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Or maybe you're lucky. Maybe you found yourself an honest dealer out there. There are honest dealers, transparent dealers out there. Unfortunately, most of them are not. And that's what we do for the past 20 years. Nancy Stewart and myself founded this show 20 some odd years ago. It was a half-hour show then. It was on Thursdays, I think, and a little radio station called Seaview. Actually, the same location. Radio stations changed hands, but we're still here. And we moved from Thursday to Saturday. We moved to 2 hours of live talk radio to tell you, advise you, listen to you, and I should underline listen to you because your calls are extraordinarily important. If you've listened to the show before, you probably learn a lot more from the callers and the comments than you do from what we have to say here. So if you got a pencil handy, please write this number down. It's really important. 877-960-9960. I sometimes think I dream about that number. I probably do dream about that number. I say it so often. But most people haven't heard it, and so that's the reason I repeat it. And for you regular listeners, excuse me, it's probably as boring to you as it is to me, but it's important. So 877-960-9960. Now, when you call that number, we've got 5 lines going into the studio here in North Palm Beach, Florida. And we reach all over, by the way. We're streaming all over the world, so this is not just a local show. Used to be, but no more. So when you call 877-960-9960, Nancy Stewart, sitting to my left, has got a laptop and a computer, and she sees that call because it goes to her switchboard. Jeremy is in the control room, and Nancy will tap me on the shoulder or Rick on the shoulder. She can't reach Rick, but figuratively she will tap him. And Stu Stewart, my son, who is in the studio or will be shortly, and we will stop what we're saying because we want to listen to the calls, and we've got a limited number of lines. My apologies, a few of you from time to time have not been able to get through, but we try really, really hard. Sometimes we get on the subject and we don't get off it fast enough, but we are trying our best to prioritize the call. And if you can't call now, I don't expect everybody to be calling at the same time. Hey, we're here for 2 hours. And tune in 15, 20 minutes or tune in an hour and a half. We're still going to be here. Most people only listen to the show for 10 or 15 minutes. And so you write it down and maybe on your notepad, on your hand, wherever you can write it, or maybe you got a good memory. 877-960-9960. We love to hear stories. I just got tapped on the shoulder.
We love to hear from our callers. We're going to go to John from Palm City. Good morning, John.
Morning. I need help from Rick. Rick, I have two questions. One is a problem, a Lexus RX 350. I just changed out the battery. I put a new battery in from Consumers Reports, Napa 24F. Shortly after I put the battery back in and hooked up, when I turn the ignition on now, I get like a scratching noise. It almost sounds like from the radio, but the radio is off. Now, again, that's another problem. I press the button for the radio, and it lights up, but it doesn't work. And that has a scratching noise when I press the button. It's the same type of noise. It's like a scratch, and it sounds like it's coming from a loudspeaker, and it constantly does it every time that I start it up. Can you tell me what you might think that is?
My first thought right off the bat is the amplifier. Probably coincidental that it occurred right when you put a new battery in, but I would think it's going to be the amplifier for that radio system. What year is the Lexus?
It's a 2008 with 97,000 miles.
2008. Yeah, pretty certain those had the separate amp, and I would almost bet cash money right now that the amplifier is going to be the issue.
Okay. I lost my mechanic the end of last month, so I only have one choice. I'll be glad to, even though I live a distance, to bring the car into you. And the second question I have to you is the spare tire, which is in the rear of it, and you jack it up on a cable. Now, factory tool that comes with it is a socket, and it takes forever because it's a limited space, and you have like a iron to turn it. I tried to buy a metric socket, doesn't fit it. A standard size socket doesn't fit it. Is there any particular socket that's sold that fits that nut where you jack the spare tire up and down?
There is a way. Now, did you look closely at that nut?
Yes.
Did you notice that it's not a 6-sided piece?
Yes.
It's
I
only
noticed that.
5-sided. Yeah,
I can't find a socket to fit it. What do I do?
I believe it is a 22 millimeter 12-point socket
Okay.
that will fit onto that. It fits a little funny because you're actually having to kind of jury rig it because it's a 5-sided piece. It's pentagon, not hexagon.
Right.
So you're actually having to kind of slip it on there. But a 12-sided 22 millimeter, it might be 23 because I haven't had to use one of those in quite a while, but I'm pretty certain it's 22 millimeter, will slip on there, and then you can use a regular ratchet instead of trying to use that goofy hook thing and crank it, which is what the factory tools have you doing.
That takes forever too.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yeah, John, I'm looking in Amazon now. They have a whole bunch of 5-point transformer socket wrenches available with 1-day delivery.
Ah. Okay, they might have one available there for it, yeah.
5-point on a 22. Okay, either 22 or 23 millimeter.
Yeah.
That's a great help because that drives me crazy because I have to take that spare down in order to do the tire pressure. And I usually put up as much as I can in it, but I hate to go through that procedure. And I always worry for some reason that cable, when I make it too tight, would break. No possibility of that, right?
It's almost impossible to break that cable because
Okay.
it's got a mechanism in there that when it gets snugged up, you'll feel it when it hits the top.
Yes.
And then
Yes,
you can kind of reach under there and give the tire a wiggle to make sure that it's seated properly. That way you don't have it bouncing around when you're driving down the road.
Right.
Because it
right.
might catch at one point and not be all the way up. So when you get it, it feels like it's up, reach under there and give it a shake to make sure that it's seated properly. And if it wobbles a bit, give it another shake and then tighten it up some more, and it'll come right up into place.
Do they still use that nightmare system on the new Toyotas, too, in the SUVs?
Most of them now are the tires inside the car.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay. Well, thank you very much for your information. And there's only one people that I know can take care of this scratching problem, and I'm going to make an appointment to bring the car into you.
All right.
There
Hey,
you
thanks,
go.
Jonathan. It was great hearing from you. You're going to
Thank
love
you,
the
guys. Thank
mystery
you for
shopping
being there.
report. We'll talk later. Mindy, are you still there? Good morning, Mindy.
Hi, good morning. First of all, first time, long time. My husband and I listen to you every weekend. Quick question. I have
Well,
a 2021.
first of all, let me say, Mindy, I want to thank you for calling and being a first-time caller. And for that, you win yourself $50 this morning as a first-time caller.
Thank
And
you.
if you'll stay on the line when we're finished talking, you can speak to Jeremy. He'll take your contact information and pass it along to me.
Awesome. Thank
What can
you.
we do for you, Mindy?
I have a 2021 Hyundai Sonata that my lease is up and I'd like to buy it. And I got the buyout numbers. It's 15.8. but I just don't want to be sidelined or sidetracked at the dealership with or should I say more fees added on to it. How do I go about that?
Well, Mindy, that's something we get asked a lot on the show, and for a long time, the dealers were getting away with adding fees. There's been a number of lawsuits, and there's been a number of Federal Trade Commission fines for dealers that were charging extra fees. There's a leasing act. It was a federal leasing act of 1976, way back, that says it is the law that the purchase option price and lease must be exactly as stated in the lease with no additional cost. The dealers, especially in South Florida, but really all over the country, have been sneaking in fees, delivery fees, administrative fees, and all the junk fees that they typically use when they sell cars, but adding to the cost of you exercising your purchase. It's illegal for them to do that. So my suggestion is, clarify this with your dealer. You probably would like to return it to your dealer, although you don't have to. You can return it to any dealer of that franchise make, and sometimes you can even return them directly to the leasing company. But clarify with whomever you're going to return your vehicle, your lease vehicle, of the exact price. Now, you are going to have to pay for government fees if you're going to have to put a new tag and register it, because now the lease cars registered to the name of the leasing company. But government fees only, no other fees should be added to that purchase option price.
Okay, very good.
Hey, Mindy,
Thank you very much. Yeah.
I want to thank you again, and I want to, let you know that you are, in a great position to purchase that lease. And remember, government fees only. So
I certainly will. Thank you.
you do your homework before you go in, and you're in the buyer's seat. Thank you, Mindy.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Give us a call again, and please spread the word that we want to build a platform here for the ladies. They, too, are very important in this industry. As a matter of fact, they have some real financial power. Our number here is 877-960-9960, and you can also text us at 772-497-6530, and you can take advantage of youranonymousfeedback.com. Back to the recovering car dealer.
Yeah, I didn't mention any of our other numbers, but we really got a good start on the phone number. For you folks that are a little nervous about being on live radio like we used to be, it's kind of scary, because if you say something you shouldn't say, you could get in trouble. And sometimes you get fined, and sometimes you can get fired. Nancy and I were fired several years ago from the other radio station. But
Decade and a half ago.
a decade and a half. So live radio is scary. If you don't want to be on live radio, text us at 772-497-6530. That's 772-497-6530. My son Stu, you might have just heard him there. He monitors our text. He also monitors our anonymous feedback line, which that's my personal favorite, because I know how important privacy is to a lot of us. And you can go online to youranonymousfeedback.com. Youranonymousfeedback.com. Go online, and you can pose any question, comment, insult, a threat. We don't know who you are. It's like calling the police anonymous. A lot of people, they don't like to report crimes because they're afraid they'll get involved and they'll have to go to court, and they just want to do their duty without having to, have their lives disrupted. So they have anonymous numbers you can call the police. This is just like that. It's just as safe. Youranonymousfeedback.com. Sometimes car dealers use that because they don't like us very much, as you can understand why. But we like everybody to use it. So that's another way to get. And we're also on Facebook, facebook.com/Earl on Cars. And our biggest source is YouTube. I mean, YouTube is huge. I don't need to tell you that. youtube.com/Earl on Cars. Just remember that, Earl on Cars. Feedback, anonymousfeedback.com. Any way you want to reach us, we'd love to hear from you. And Rick Kearney, who you heard earlier, if you were tuned in, who is our certified diagnostic master technician. He monitors youtube.com/Earl on Cars, and boy, do we have a whole bunch of guys and gals that watch that YouTube channel, and they give us some of the most intelligent comments and suggestions. So thanks all you YouTubers out there, and join the cadre of the Rick Kearney followers on youtube.com.
Okay, guys, text,
Oh, yeah.
YouTube.
Amory's
We'll get
been waiting
right
here
to it.
since before we got here this morning.
Oh, excuse me, Stu.
You gotta
You know,
talk.
I want to point out to everyone listening, hopefully a few people from last week are listening. My apologies that I couldn't, we ran out of time. We couldn't get to your calls. I received a few calls from the ladies. Please be persistent. Keep trying, and you will get through. Stu?
All right. Amory texted us before the show. Good morning, she says. I have a confession to make. I have a 2013 Camry XLE that has always been dependable, and I'm planning on keeping it. But another car has caught my eye. Rhetorical question. Is 72 old to buy a midlife crisis car? No, Amory, it is not. I have the option to buy a one-owner, properly maintained 1997 BMW Z3 Atlanta Blue convertible. This looks just like the car James Bond drove in the movie GoldenEye. But the Z3 I'm looking at has a tape player instead of Bond Stinger missiles. Sorry to say that James Bond is not on the list of available accessories. Don't worry, I'll probably come to my senses soon, but one can dream. Here are my questions for the week. What qualifies a car to be an antique? Is it the age of the car or the popularity of the model, or is it something else that gives the car an antique designation? Thanks. And she adds that she can dream. It's the age of the car. I think it varies by state.
Florida, it's 30 years.
30 years in Florida. So you're getting close on that Z3, just a few more years. So it's 30 years would put you back, when, 1994?
Yep. But Anne-Marie, if you buy a BMW, you're dead to us.
Stop. Buy
Earl, what's your
anything,
opinion on BMW?
explore, experiment, and do whatever suits your fancy, Anne-Marie. And if you buy it, 3 more years, it'll be an antique.
Yeah. Earl, what's your opinion on BMWs?
They're coming on pretty strong. They're, you can't have a fixed opinion on any make anymore, and BMW is going after Mercedes and Audi and the rest of them. So it's good for the buyers. BMW is a good car. I mean, the new BMW and the used BMW are two entirely different things. Because of the warranty is a good warranty, and you buy a new car, and most people that buy these new BMWs keep the car for 2, 3, or 4 years, then they trade it. So they never experience the problems. The used BMW you have to be careful about. I've got my used car, my Consumer Reports annual used car buyer's guide out here, and I would, if Anne-Marie, if you're listening, I would look that up. They have all the best and the worst used cars listed, and that would be a pretty good guide. But
Well, she wants one that is nearly 30 years old.
well, it could be a good buy.
Now, if it's taken care of properly, it'd probably be an awesome car to drive.
Right.
But
There was a time, and I think Rick was thinking back a long time ago, when, because he's been with me for a long time, there were times when to touch a luxury European car that was more than, let's just say, out of warranty, you wouldn't do it. I mean, I would almost have a heart attack if I saw a Jaguar being traded in on my used car lot. It was worse than a motorcycle. And I had a rule, no Jaguars, no motorcycles. And then things changed, times changed, and the Europeans caught up, the Japanese caught up, the motorcycle
the
quality
Koreans,
is better.
the Koreans were that was a big surprise.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean,
yeah.
we used to make fun of Kias and Hyundais.
Yeah.
And now we're worried about them.
Yeah. The only one that we still make fun of is the Yugo. The Yugo.
Yeah.
Well, you can, because they're out of business. You want to hear a funny coincidence this week? I hope it's okay for the radio. So Ford recalled about 22,000 Ford Broncos this past week, on the same day that the Jews passed away, that OJ died.
Oh, that's right. Is that right?
It's just a coincidence.
Wow.
It was, everybody remembers the 1994 chase in
Never
the Ford
will
Bronco.
ever forget that. That was quite something.
Yeah.
Who can forget that? We're going to go back to the phones, and we're going to talk to Doug. And Doug is calling us from Boca. Good morning, Doug.
Good morning.
Morning, Doug.
Ellis says meow.
Meow.
So I was going to say, I was at your dealership this week, and they're always nice. I mean, very, very nice place to go to.
Well, thanks for making that long trip, Doug. I know it's no fun on 995. That's probably what you have to take. Appreciate the long trip you make.
Yeah, I don't have a Honda anymore. It's
Yeah.
weird.
What can we do for you, Doug?
I was just calling about my car, and it says it needs premium gas, and I wanted to know if I could use cheaper gas on it. Probably not, because it's a 3-cylinder high compression, and I'm just...
What do you think, Rick?
Which car is this? Is this the GR Corolla?
GR Corolla Circuit, yep.
Put the high test in.
With that particular car, because it is a very specialized. I mean, it's basically it's a factory made race car.
Right.
I would step to the higher test. Yeah, I would use premium fuel.
Especially for the performance.
Yeah,
factor.
I mean, you're talking this is a very, very low production GR Corolla.
Yeah, if it was a
With
rental
that-
Malibu, I
yeah,
would say go ahead,
it's-
put the cheap gas
Yeah,
in.
no, you want to use the premium fuel in that one. Keep that car right, and make sure you save I would even save my fuel receipts
Yeah.
to be able to show that you ran premium all the time in that car, and that car will hold its value incredible. It's in 5 years, you could probably sell it for more than what you paid for it brand new, just by keeping up on the maintenance and keeping everything exactly right on
And
that
following that owner's manual, Doug, is, the way to go. Do you have any
I
other
do,
questions?
Just one more. So the oil change says 5,000 miles, but someone told me it was even more than that. So I'm just trying to make sure I bring it in when it's time to do the oil change.
Yeah, again, I'd go to that book in the glove
That's what
compartment
Nancy said.
that has your factory recommended maintenance and follow that right to the letter.
Oh, you mean it's not
Owner's
10,000
manual
miles?
is really
not on
worth
the
its weight
GR
in
Corollas.
gold.
Oh.
Doug, do you have any other questions?
No, you guys have a great day and happy Saturday.
All right.
All
Enjoy
right,
that
thanks,
GR.
Doug. Thanks for calling. Our number here is 877-960-9960. You can also text us at 772-497-6530. Don't forget, youranonymousfeedback.com. We're going to go back to Stu, where he has some text to share with us, and then we're going to go to Rick.
Well, let's go over to Rick because I only had the one text from Anne Marie. And
Okay,
so I'm
Rick, what do
sure.
you have for us?
Well, we do have Johnny Z. Fradley asking, have we heard any word on the redesigned GR86 for 2025?
No, we just know there is going to be a redesign. Right at this point, generally speaking, and I get a lot of questions, and I'm sure everybody in this room gets a lot of questions about the next model that's coming up. And often, you guys know as much as we do, a lot of the information out there is in the press, it's leaked and things like that. And all manufacturers do this. It creates anticipation. And
Well, they
builds
do it
up
on
demand.
purpose.
Yeah, I mean, they probably have the completed thing sitting there with pictures and the
Yep.
brochures ready to go. But we don't know. It's like sometimes we get peeks at things. They have an annual dealer convention every year, and they'll show some of the cars. I got to see some of them last year, but they didn't show the GR86.
Yeah, I just said that sarcastically that the manufacturers do that on purpose.
But
But
yeah.
as I thought about it, what better way to get free publicity if you have something that no one has seen and you have the press
Yeah.
anxious to get it, say, listen, I'll give you an exclusive on this. I'm going to tell you something about a truck we haven't even told our dealers yet, because we've been in the business a long time, and year after year, our customers will call up and say, "Hey, did you see the picture in this
No,
magazine
like,
or in
send it
this
to me,
newspaper?"
please.
And we haven't seen it, and we sell the damn things, and I think that is premeditated.
Yeah,
What
the
a great way to
excitement
get the
of
word
it all.
out on a new model.
Great
it's hype.
information,
They call it
guys.
hype.
We're going to go back to the phones, and we're going to talk to Deborah. She's a first-time caller. And good morning, Deborah. Deborah's calling us from Palm Beach Gardens.
Good morning.
Good morning, Deborah. You just won yourself $50 for being the second new female caller. If you'll stay on the line when we're done talking, you can give your information to Jeremy, and he'll pass it along to me, and I'll get that check out to you.
Oh, that sounds great. Thank you.
And most of all, Deborah, I have to ask you, please spread the word right here on Earl Stewart on Cars that the ladies are a very important part of the show. And sometimes
Okay.
I don't always get to them because we do have our regular callers that call in early in the morning. At any rate, spread the word and help us build the platform. Deborah, what can we do for you this morning?
Well, I have a question. I have a 2016 Kia, and we put on about 2,000 miles per season because we leave the car down here when we go back to Mass, and we run synthetic oil. Should I change that oil and filter year to year, even though we only put on the 2,000 miles?
It's usually recommended to change it yearly. One of the factors we have in Florida with our extremely high humidity that we get is that water vapor gets in to that engine. It gets in everywhere. So a car that just sits a lot, it's going to have water vapor getting into that motor and condensing inside it, and it can cause little bits of corrosion. So the oil, of course, is what's going to clean that out, and part of the oil's purpose is to help remove dirt from in the engine, dirt, rust, anything like that.
Deborah, the main thing is to check your owner's manual and do exactly what Kia tells you to do.
Yeah.
So if Kia tells you to change it every 10,000 or 5,000, don't do it any less frequently than that.
Deborah, up until now, have you referred to the owner's manual often?
I really, once in a great while, but
Okay.
not religiously.
Sorry to interrupt you. That's a typical answer from just about anybody, but that is a Bible for you to refer to. It definitely
Okay.
is. Your owner's manual will take you far. Absolutely. When you
Okay.
when you hesitate, you can ask everybody that you know, but the owner's manual is the way to go.
Okay, even though it's 2,000 and under 5,000, that was what we wanted to know.
Right.
The manual does say 5,000 though.
Well, then that's what you should do.
That's exactly the the direction that I would go in.
So the answer is no then. So don't change.
It doesn't list a time along with it?
No.
Oh, okay.
That's
Then
the problem.
Yeah,
We're gone from October to, we come back in October. We leave in May, so the car fits, and then we come back and forth from October to May. So
Deborah, is your Kia, is it a 2.4 or a 2.0?
I think it's 2.4. It
Okay,
is.
that's interval is every 7,500 miles for a 2016 2.4.
Oh, wow.
I hope that
Interesting.
I hope we helped you out, Deborah.
Yes, you did.
That's enlightening. 7,500 miles, and you, as you
7,000.
said, you have a Kia, and it is the 2.4, right?
Yes,
Okay, and
Yes.
it's a 2016. So there you go.
very good. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. Okay, we're going to go to Barbara, and Barbara's called before, and she continues to call, and we thank her for that. Good morning, Barbara.
Oh, good morning. I'm sorry I didn't call you at 8 o'clock. But I tried to get you last week, and you told me to call this morning, and I just want to let you know that my husband and I have bought 2 cars from your people.
Thank
Your
you.
service people are the greatest people in the world.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And we have a Venza that's a 2013, and my husband passed away in November, so I'm not getting a new car, and I have 116,000 miles on it, and never had anything wrong with it. We had the tire program, we replaced the battery and the brakes, and that's about it.
Wow.
Wow.
You know, Barbara,
Nice.
I really want to thank you for calling back. I apologize you couldn't get through last week, and you and several other ladies couldn't get through. So thank you for calling back.
Okay. Well, I just have wonderful accolades for your dealership, and it takes me almost 45 minutes to get there, but I am still doing it.
Bless your heart.
We
Thank you so
appreciate
much.
that, Barb.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. 877-960-9960, and you can text us at 772-497-6530. And I'm going to check with Stu and see if we have any anonymous feedbacks.
I'm checking.
We haven't addressed that for a while. And
I've got one from Donovan here that might be interesting.
We're going to go to Howard, who's been holding first. Good morning, Howard.
I hope you're all fine. Beautiful day today, as usual. I have a couple of questions for Rick. I'm down half a quart of oil. Should I put another half in there, or should I just run it the way it is, half a quart short?
I would go ahead and top it up.
Okay, because a lot of people say don't top it up, but I think you're correct because. I like the car to run at all capacities full, so I'm going to take your advice. Another thing, the antifreeze. What happened to antifreeze? The coolant. I'm from New York, so I say antifreeze. The coolant is down a little bit. Now, I added water at one time, so what I want to do is I don't want to put the mix in because I added water. Can I buy the 100% coolant without the water? Is that a possibility?
If you can find it. Because remember, it used to be we'd buy coolant or antifreeze. Basically, it's the same chemical, but you would buy it in a gallon jug, and then you had to mix it with water to get that 50-50 mix. And it got so complicated that a lot of companies just finally just said, enough, just make it pre-mixed to where it's at the proper level of where it should be, and just use this, pour it straight in, and you're fine. And so they all went to that. It's getting pretty hard now to find the concentrated coolant that you don't have to mix with water, or that you do have to mix with water to put in there. So you may be better off just to get the 50-50, pre-mixed.
You know, it's amazing, Howard. You know, we talk about your owner's manual, and we talk about ChatGPT. We talk about Google. There's so many ways for you to obtain the information that you need. But we are happy that you decide to call us and speak to a real person.
I'm speaking to the number one person, Rick. So
There you go. He is definitely the number one person. And I'm sure he appreciates that. Okay, Howard, I got the lines lit up. Do you have any other questions?
Fast question. What's the best time to make an appointment to do work in your dealership?
Sundays are usually slower. If it's routine maintenance work, that'd be a good way to get in and out faster.
Sunday?
Yeah.
That's incredible. I had no idea. That's great information.
Nobody
I'll
knows.
make an appointment.
Thanks for
most
asking,
dealers
Howard.
aren't open all day Sunday, but we are, and it's a little calmer around there on Sundays than the weekdays.
What are your hours on Sundays?
9 to 5.
9 to 5. I had a discussion with my wife recently. She says, "You're open on Sunday?" And I go, "You're kidding me."
I thought
We
you
don't talk
used to be
about it a
song,
lot.
9 to 5. All right. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Howard. And if you want to catch me on Saturday, I can sell you a new car. Thanks for asking. We'll talk to you later. 877-960-9960. And if you think I'm talking fast this Saturday, guess what?
You got to get through.
I am. We are going to get to all the calls that we should get to because so many people talked to me last week. Why didn't you take my call? Actually, you can text also, and you can do that at 772-497-6530. And I know I'm repeating the number quickly, but I'll repeat it quickly or try to slow down a little bit as the calls come in. We're going to go to Frank, and Frank is calling us from Jupiter Farms. Good morning, Frank.
Well, good morning. I'll
Hey,
try and
Frank.
talk fast.
No.
For a
What can
change,
we do
because
for you,
sometimes
Frank?
I go too slow. First off, do you ever watch the rocket launches from your house over the beach?
From time to
You watch
time, yeah.
them?
Yeah.
I saw one last night, and I was thinking, you guys, it was such a perfect view from the farms. For where you are, it would have been even more incredible.
The
What time's that
There's so
on?
many going on now. Be honest with you, we used to watch them all the time because there were very few. Now
Oh,
there's
no.
one or two every week, so we do catch some of them.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, on a quick back to the car thing, you're going to find this interesting. I heard you all talk about the new Toyota Crown, and Nancy might be waiting for one. And I found one
No,
up in
and
Fort
I have a Crown, and I'm waiting for
Pierce. Oh,
you.
got it. Okay. Well. Okay. It was checkers. Now it's time to be crowned. Okay. Oh, I'm so sorry. So yesterday, I decided to do a little mystery shopping report for you guys. Oh my goodness, I should be paid for this. I went to Fort Pierce, Bev Smith, Toyota. What a three-ring circus.
Never been myself.
I got there. Well, before I went there, I called and I said, "Do you have all these markups?" And added, "Oh no, we just have a dealer fee, and we might be able to, work that out somehow. It's just a $9,000 or $900 dealer fee."
Uh-huh.
So I went up there, and they said, "Just sticker price, just that." Well, they got a separate sticker. They got a whole new Maroni label on the right side versus the real one. That has another $10,000 of add-ons, almost $10,000. The Crown went from 40 to 49,000. It was a black, not black. It was a heavy metal, which is an interesting color. Still fabric seats.
Did you ever speak to the person that you spoke to on the phone to ask them about this slight discrepancy you encountered?
Yes, they have fired her.
Oh.
That's for sure. Her name was, probably they play back the tapes and go, "Don't tell these people that." So anyway, we went for a test drive. It was a nice test drive. I will admit, the safe one, all right turns. And then it's time. And have you ever been to they're not timeshares anymore, vacation rentals where they have all these little tables set up? Oh, by the way, their dealership is under construction. So you're now in a trailer.
Oh.
Or you go out and use a porta potty if you need to use the restroom. I mean, although they do have a huge flag to show where it is. Anyway, all these people are around there at the tables with the salesman, and I'm listening. I'm going, oh my goodness. I saw one lady that was by herself. I said, "You aren't really buying a car without someone with you." "Oh, I'm all right. These are good people." I go, "Oh my goodness."
You're sending people home out of their showroom. Get out of here.
Really?
Get out of here.
Well, when I stopped, when I came there, I said I brought them a tray of cupcakes, both red velvet and orange, or carrot cakes and chocolate. And the guy said, "What's this for?" It's a whole big box. I said, "This is to sweeten the deal." And they took my Mercedes in for trade-in, to a price of my trade-in, 2012 low mileage, beautiful E350 in lunar blue metallic. It's fabulous, all new tires. Anyway, so then they started the negotiating stuff, and it was unbelievable.
It is.
Unbelievable.
put the full court press
It's
on,
definitely worth talking about. And when we first took your call, you alluded to the fact that you should get paid for this. Let me tell you what, Frank, you can do everyone a big favor in your neighborhood, everywhere, because you know so much, Frank. You can share it, and you can do that by going to Earl's Vigilantes, earlsvigilantes.com, and you can help out not only the people in your neighborhood, but so many others. And you don't have to know how to take an engine apart, but you can benefit with the knowledge that you have for others, with others.
Yeah.
Frank, I thank you for calling.
I know you're busy today, so we'll be quick about it. But you all have a good day, and we'll talk to you next week when maybe it slows down a little bit.
I hope so.
Thanks, Frank.
Okay, Frank. 877-960-9960. You can text us at 772-497-6530. And don't forget youranonymousfeedback.com. We definitely enjoy hearing from everyone who goes to youranonymousfeedback.com. Hopefully, we have received your message, and whomever has taken advantage of your anonymous feedback this morning, Stu will be getting to that momentarily. We're going to go to John, and he's calling us from West Palm Beach.
Good morning.
Good morning, John. What can we do for you?
little background. My dad bought a car from you guys, a Pontiac, in 1952,
Oh, wow. That's a long time ago.
and it burned in the fire you had. Do you remember? Do you know about that?
Well, my dad does.
Yeah.
Earl does.
Yeah, I was. Can I give you a quick story about that? I was having breakfast with my mother and father on that day, and the phone rang. We had old-fashioned phones then. And my father got up from the breakfast table, answered the phone, and then he turned white, and then he dropped the phone. And I said, "What's wrong, Dad?" And he walked over to the bar, and he took a bottle of bourbon and poured himself a shot, threw it back, walked out the door. My mother was yelling at him, "Earl," his name was Earl too, "what are you doing?" And he just walked out, got in the car, drove down, and the dealership had burned down that day.
We have a lot of pictures of it. We have some pretty incredible pictures. You can see the Carefree through the rubble on South Dixie there. That was a big event for us, yeah.
Yeah, it was very interesting. I bought a car from you guys downtown. I bought a Trans Am at one time. And now we own a Highlander. But I want to compliment you guys. I called up and said, I'm looking for a car. And a couple of people responded to me online and asked me to call. And I'm looking for a red Highlander for my wife because she likes red. And you guys were very responsive, and I appreciate everything you've done.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, John. You know, isn't it amazing? Just when you think that someone is not listening, they are indeed, and they respond and they get back to you. And
Absolutely. And
that's
I'm
a warm and
waiting
fuzzy feeling.
I'm waiting for a red Highlander for my wife, not a new one. I don't want a new one. I don't like the 4 cylinders. So
You got to have red?
19 or a 20 or a 21.
Okay.
You got to have red?
It's
Gotta be red.
For my,
It's
it's
gotta be
for
red.
my big boss.
That's right.
There you go. Okay, John. Thank you so
Thank
much
you
for
so
calling.
much for your service. I appreciate it. Have a great day.
Thank you.
You're welcome. 877-960-9960. You can text us at 772-497-6530. We're going to go to Stu, and I was asked a question earlier about youranonymousfeedback.com. Have you received any?
Yes, I have. Actually, I passed on that. I think it might have gone in my junk, but Earl passed it along to me. It says, hello. Pushing electric vehicles on the U.S. consumer is causing these corporations to lose billions of dollars and in turn cause bankruptcies and going out of business. Let's wait until we have the infrastructure before requiring people to switch to electric cars. As we all know, where the power comes from to make electricity to power the electric cars comes from coal-fired power plants. So how are we helping the environment? I'm going to turn that over to Earl, but I do want to say I was looking at the consumption of all energy types, and globally the coal use is going up slightly, meaning because of China. But in the United States, it's a small portion, and we're almost at 50% renewables in the countries in the United States right now.
Well, he makes a good point. Here's an automotive news article this week. I'm holding it up. So far in the first quarter, the first 3 months of 2024, we, the taxpayers, have paid car dealers $580 million to subsidize the sale of electric vehicles. Now, that's just in 3 months. So the anonymous feedbacker has got a good point. I think sometimes government, and maybe more often than not, government pushes too hard on something that's a popular idea. And they try to push something that sounds good on paper. So it's true. It turns out that the push toward electric vehicles was too much, too fast, too early, and hybrids, which have been around for 25 years or 30 years, is now the name of the game. So you can't force the American public to buy something that they don't want to buy, and I think the government's going. I agree with the anonymous feedbacker on that, Rick.
Donovan just put a post here. He says, Tesla this week filed permits to build the world's largest supercharger site just north of us in Yeehaw Junction. The
Yeehaw.
site will be just off the turnpike and host 200 charging posts.
Build a few of those. Build a few more of them.
He says it's very impressive and
Very.
shows how quickly things are changing if they need a site with 200 chargers at it. He says, Earl, we have given the auto industry the amount of money, but we also have given the industry about 25% of that amount for the same time period.
What?
I believe on
On the article that
the
Earl
article you just
read
mentioned,
from?
he says, Earl, we have given the auto industry that amount of money, but we've also given the oil industry about 25 times that amount for the same time period.
Well, yeah, this is, again, government interference, and I think the government more often than not overdoes what they're trying to do. You got to remember, the politicians, when they make these decisions, they're trying to get reelected. Now, if I'm being cynical, I'm being cynical, but I believe I'm being truthful. The first rule in politics is to get reelected, and on the other, when you think about it, if you're smart and you're a good politician, I guess we want you to get reelected. The question is, how far do you want to go? And I think that by telling your potential voters or your base what they want to hear instead of the truth is where the rub is. This is why we end up paying more taxes than we should. So there's two sides to the story. I think electric vehicles are definitely going to be around. In 25 years, you will not be driving anything except an electric vehicle. But 25 years is a long time. Between now and then, it's going to be hybrids. And I think to push and pay what did I say, $580 million in the first quarter to the dealers, not the buyers. It's supposed to be passed along to the buyers. But when you give a dealer the subsidy on an electric vehicle, then the games begin. And the dealer steals some of that money, pardon the expression, and increases his profit on the car. He uses the rebates on electric vehicles to enhance his profit. So it's a messy soup out there, and what will happen will happen, and what will happen will be all EVs in 25 years and all hybrids between now and then.
Hey, it always is messy. Our number here is 877-960-9960. You can text us at 772-497-6530. You know who really wants the EV industry to take off? The doggies. Guess why? Because you can put your car in a doggy mode. Yeah. So that leads me to our Dog of the Week. I didn't mention that earlier, but we do have a Dog of the Week. And we certainly hope that Connie got adopted last week, and she was a retriever.
That's great.
And who was it that called in last week who was going to check on Connie?
Jersey Mike.
Jersey Mike, regular caller. Hopefully he was able to pick up Connie if she wasn't adopted. But moving along here, our Dog of the Week is Millie. And Millie is a mixed breed, and she is, as I said, she's a female. She's 2 years old, and we'll talk more about her later on in the show. You'll be able to see a video at about 9:30. Again, that number is 877-960-9960, and you can text us at 772-497-6530. We're going to go back to Stu.
Okay, we do have some more anonymous feedback that came in that I just found. You got to find that folder there. Here we go. I bought two of my last vehicles. I bought both of my last two vehicles using the Costco program, obviously. I knew going in the dealer wasn't going to make a deal without making any profit, and that's okay because I feel I got a nice deal both times. I found on both occasions, after doing a lot of research in my local area with using Edmunds and KBB and others, that I got a very fair deal and actually paid less than others in my area paid for the same vehicle. A fair deal is fine with me. Mutually beneficial to me and the dealer. Okay. Here's one that sounds like a commercial, but I'm going to read it anyway. My last two vehicles, this is from somebody completely anonymous, I swear. My last two vehicles were purchased from EST, that's Earl Stewart Toyota. And even though I have moved out west, any future purchase will be from his dealership as well, not one single junk fee in the contract on either vehicle. My 23 Tacoma was priced, tax, and $42 for the DMV. My 21 RAV4 was the same, except for $400 for the DMV because I came from out of state. No junk fees, period. I challenge any dealer to be that honest with their customers. And that was, like I said, a very nice thing. Okay, and here's the last one. Roger Penske owns Palm Beach Toyota. I think he's just a large shareholder, right? He's not the actual...
Yeah, I think it's 30%. It's
Yes.
a public company.
Yeah, he is one of the owners of Palm Beach Toyota. When I'm ready to buy a Toyota vehicle or lease, it'll be from Earl Stewart Toyota. I have leased 4 VW vehicles from Schumacher VW in West Palm Beach. I will not lease another VW from Schumacher again. The time for a change is coming soon, by the end of the year 2024. I'm ready for a better vehicle known as a Toyota. I am a member and judge with the NCRS, the National Corvette Restorer Society, and I used to restore my own Corvette Stingrays, and since I was 15 years old as a hobby. And I know personally the quality of Lexus, as my parents are now owning their third Lexus automobile. Toyota Lexus builds a great quality, reliable automobile. Yes, they do. Thank you very much, Mr. Anonymous. All right, on over to Rick if you got any feedback.
We're going to go back to the phones,
Okay.
and then I'll get to Rick. We're going to talk to Tricia, and Tricia's calling us from Boca. Welcome back, Tricia.
Yes, thank you for remembering. Tired Tricia. That's my name.
Sorry, Tricia.
We used to talk about
Tricia's
tires.
a tire girl.
But we're never
Yes,
tired
but
of you.
we love talking to you,
Yes.
Tricia.
Oh, that's funny. That's funny. But this time it's not about tires. First of all, I want to tell you there's a lot of static coming in on the radio. It's other radio stations. I don't know what's going on in the stratosphere, but there's a lot of interference. I don't know
We're at a
if you
solar
guys...
maximum right now. It could be solar activity.
Oh, probably that's it. Because, now I can hear you very clearly. Okay, so here's my very unusual situation that happened yesterday. All of a sudden, I went to deliver something to charity. My key did not go in the keyhole. It only went halfway in. Of course, I'm stuck. The wheel is locked. I'm trying to call. I'm calling a tow truck, maybe to tow it home. Luckily, the service never went through, so I'm waiting. 2 hours, several hours. I say, well, another truck won't get there till 9:30. I'm sitting out there in front of this store till 5:30. A lot of people trying to help. It was very nice. The key would not go in the ignition, only halfway. I even had a second key my neighbor brought me, did not go in the ignition. Finally, I had an epiphany. Well, let me call a mobile, car service that does keys. Finally, I have this after 4 hours. I would have been sitting out there all night. What he did was he used something that looked like a lock pick. He sprayed it, of course, with
Slim
some
Jim?
lubricant.
A Slim Jim, yeah.
Jammed in the key lock. I don't know what the hell he did, but he kept, loosening it up. Finally, the key went in. The key still didn't turn. He kept working at it. Finally, it did. What the heck was that all about?
Rust.
Now, this is the ignition cylinder, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow. I would have to say it must have gotten some dirt or debris got in there, something that was interfering with those little pin plates that actually move up and down when you put the key in the ignition. And I would highly, highly recommend replacing that ignition cylinder. Unfortunately, you'd wind up having to use two keys at that point, one for the door, one for the ignition. unless you replaced all the locks on the car in one shot. But I would replace that ignition cylinder so it doesn't happen and you don't get stuck again.
Well, and you know that's going to be very expensive. I was kind of, this guy was nice, honest. He fixed it rather than saying, okay, you need a whole new cylinder and 2 more keys. You know, that's a $500 job. You know, this mobile service only cost me $157, but
Right.
I'm hoping I don't have to replace that cylinder and get 2 more keys.
Well, the reason I say it is it's very, very possible that whatever was in there and caused that, it's not, I don't think it's very likely that it came out, because knowing how key cylinders are designed, it's not like something's going to fall out of it
How about-
if it was debris.
How about spraying some WD-40 in there?
Well, a little bit of
It was,
WD-40
again.
can help to loosen it up, but
Right.
Oh, you tried that?
Yes, that's what he did.
Oh, that's
Well,
what-
that's
yeah.
what I
Okay.
did before with the neighbor. I did that before, and then when he came there, he even put more in.
Oh, okay.
right.
But
Yeah,
he jammed in some sort
Hey
of
Tricia,
key lock
did
up
he
there.
use
Yeah.
Tricia? Did he use that red straw that comes with the WD?
No, he just had some sort of spray that he had in his toolbox
Yeah, you
and
said
sprayed it in there.
Right.
you agreed with us that he had WD-40, correct?
Well, it wasn't called WD-40. Whatever.
Okay, so
he
did
called
he
something
did he
else.
use did he use the other silicone spray?
I don't know. I forget the name of it, but yes, he,
Well,
he
there's
did.
there's lots of lubricant sprays out there, but
But there's 2 good ones.
well, WD-40
Are you
isn't silicone.
disagreeing
But
with me?
yeah, my only concern is that whatever caused that key cylinder to jam up, it could happen again, and just I would myself, if it were like my wife's car, I'd be spending the money and I'd be replacing that key cylinder. I mean,
even
just to
said
make sure.
him, look, you know, how long is this guarantee? I'm not spending another $150 if this happens within a week again. Right. So, but I just, what kind of dirt could get in there so a key would only go in halfway?
It's amazing, Tricia, the amount of debris, everything that's airborne. I don't know whether it could
Even a little
straight
bit of
on
pocket
answer that
lint.
question or not.
A bit of pocket lint that was stuck on the key.
Anything.
And when you pushed it in, it pushed in there. Basically, what's in there? There's little metal plates with very tiny springs, and they have to move up and down in slots. So anything that could get in and jam one of those up, it could cause havoc in them.
Yeah, definitely, Tricia. You know, Tricia, we're going to have to wrap up this call, but I just want to compliment you. You know, you have learned so much, and you've shared so much information with us. There are so many women out there that would love to hear from you, and by joining Earl's Vigilantes, you can really help a lot of women and men in your neighborhood. And like I said earlier to one of our callers, you don't have to know how to take an engine apart to do this, but you'd be a great asset because you're so knowledgeable. You've shared so much with us.
Well, I would never get as knowledgeable as you guys, but that's why I call and listen every Saturday.
Yeah, and that's what I'm suggesting. You know so much, and then you call in, and then you listen so much. So by joining Earl's Vigilantes, you would be a great asset. So I'm just putting that out there. Trish,
Thank you.
it is great hearing from you. Stay in touch. All of your
Of course.
questions are always interesting. Hey, 77960-9960. You can text us at 772-497-6530. And don't forget your anonymous feedback. Take advantage of that, too. And speaking of Jersey Mike is on the line right now, and he is calling us, as usual, from West Palm Beach. Good morning. How are you, Mike?
Good morning. Yes, good morning, folks. You're doing a great show. I listen to you every week, and everybody else should do the same thing if they want to be wise about how to handle their
There you
big
go.
headaches they
Thanks,
have,
Mike.
okay? Because those cars are a big headache today. I got a 55 Chevy here, okay? So I bought, and when I was a kid, I could have bought it for about $350. I paid $22,000 for it. So when I go to sleep at night, at appreciation, I make money on it because that's the way old cars are. I got a 95 that's going to be 30 years old in 25. Cadillac sedan DeVille. So old cars work reliably. New cars, I think there's something going on there with regard to the manufacturers that make these cars not necessarily very reliable.
Hey, Mike, could you turn down your radio a little bit?
Yeah. I'm sorry about that. Let me just turn it off, okay? Hold on 1 second.
Okay.
One moment, please. Just a moment.
Hey, Mike. Hey,
Yeah,
thanks,
that's all.
Mike. Now we can hear
No
you
problem.
pretty clearly.
Yeah, sorry about that feedback. What I was saying is, I have a friend who has a BMW. I know he talked to you about that. I told him to give you a call this morning. And I'm going to ask the question I told him to ask you. He's put about $11,000 into this car in repairs. He's basically broke because of what he's put into this car.
He called last week, I think.
Yeah, 2018 X3. Now, is there a way in which we can determine whether that speedometer was rolled back? Because, you know, somebody can detail a car out and make it look brand new. I know I've been done that many times. Because the car does look brand new, but he's had rubber fall off of the tires. He has to replace all the tires. He had a water pump problem. They put a plastic one in instead of a stainless steel one. Even though I told him to go to Rock Auto and get it for $375, he paid $895 for it at the dealership. And it's one of the ones that you finally blacklisted over here in West Palm Beach on Military Trail that sells these here exotic foreign cars. But anyway, is there a way to find out whether that speedometer has been rolled back? Because then I figure he would, at that point, have a good case.
It's difficult. It's difficult to prove.
A Florida motor vehicle.
There's a paper trail of a car, and of course that's the service. And if you want to do some detective work, you can go back and check the services, and the mileage is always noted on the service. So if you see a discrepancy there, it goes in for service in October, then 6 months later it comes back in, and the odometer has less miles on it than the last service. Carfax has a record of the service on these cars, and if you want to dig in, you can try to find. I will say this. Only a professional would be able to do something on an odometer today, and that's been true for a few years. Used to be anybody could set back an odometer, and that was routine.
I remember that those days.
But today it's difficult to do. So I would do a Carfax check, and I would go back and check and check the. You can also check the ownership, the odometers. Take a car and go back, and then you'll see something strange if they have set the odometer back in the paperwork.
Good. Thank you for that information. Let me say something about that.
Hey, Mike, before you say anything, let me ask you this. Did you get into adopt Connie last week?
That's what I wanted to go to. You're reading my mind. You guys are great.
That's what I do.
That was what I was going to say. I went out and spent the whole morning there.
Oh, how nice.
And I'll leave it this way. I've already adopted a dog there. I've given them substantial monies to the veterans unit over there because I'm a veteran. In the past, it got me a brick that never went in, okay, but that's okay. The point simply is I didn't adopt Connie, and I wanted to, and I spent 4 hours there. Let me tell you what I concluded. I'm going to the West Palm Beach Pound, and I'm going to rescue a dog there. Even though I already rescued one there before for my friend, which was a nice thing for me to do, and it's a great dog. He's a sister of my boxer that I have, so they're partners in life. They have a lot of fun. I laugh a lot when they wrestle with each other and all of that. But I'm telling you this. I don't want to sound like I'm bad-mouthing Big Dog Ranch because they are no-kill, and Peggy Adams is different, and there's lots of other different places that are kill shelters. But the point is, I was very disappointed after spending 4 hours to get Connie, 4 hours, not just the 2 hours or an hour, 4 hours, and they said, sorry, but you can't adopt them.
Why?
You
Did
wanna
they
know
give
why?
you a
They give
reason?
you a
wanna know
reason?
why? Yes, I know why. Because I went there with my dog to do a meet and greet. That is my first dog, which is 3 years old. It's a boxer, full grown, 100-pounder, big guy. And he's not neutered.
Oh.
They would not let me. Take. And Connie was a dog that really needed a lot of love. I mean, it was a really poor dog with regard to how it was treated. I mean, it was very, very, But I was with the dog at first for a while, okay, and I could see. Because I've been doing it since the year 2000, okay? So for 24 years, I've been doing I have dogs all my whole life since I was 9 years old. The point is, I know how to do this. I know how to take a dog that's fearful and very distraught, and I know how to bring him around, okay? And I got a beautiful big backyard here in West Palm Beach that's all fenced in.
Yeah. So, Mike, let me ask you this question real quick because we're running out of time. Are you saying that you went in to get Connie, and of course Connie is a female, and you took your dog in who isn't neutered?
Correct.
Okay.
That's exactly the reason why.
Okay. Do you think that is what the problem was?
Oh, he doesn't
After
know.
being there for 4 hours?
We'll look into that. I'm a little puzzled on that myself. I do know this: at Big Dog Ranch, they neuter all the dogs, and the male and the females are neutered, and that's a part of the program.
His dog isn't neutered. He brought the dog.
Earl, would you have liked to have been neutered yourself when you were a teenager?
Well, I hear you. And
I understand.
That's we'll do it. We could start another show on that.
Yeah, we're
one,
going to
but
save that for another show, Mike.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, Mike, it's always fantastic talking to you. Unfortunately, I have to cut you off. I've got 3 phone calls.
Thank you for taking my call. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thanks for sharing that story with us. We're going to look into it. We are going to go to John, who's calling us from West Palm Beach. Dan and others, I will get to you quickly. John, good morning.
Hey, John from West Palm Beach. Is that who you're talking to?
Good morning.
Hey, good morning. Hey, you were talking about the odometers being rolled back and that. It takes professional.
Yeah.
I did the opposite. 2003 Avalon. I went to go change out the information board because all the lights, the little lights that light up that information board, were burned out. And I went to the you pick, you pull, found the Avalon. Wasn't even thinking about it. Pulled out that information board. The that holds the odometer and the computer.
Uh-huh.
Well, our car only had 50,000 miles. When I put the new one in, all the lights lit up, and guess what? I now have 150,000 miles.
Whoa.
Oh, boy.
I've never heard of it going the other way.
Well, that's because I pulled
You just
the wrong...
cost yourself $3,000.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And what happened was I didn't think to save the old one, and I tossed it out, So... Now I'm.
Yeah, what are you gonna do?
Boy, that's a story.
Yeah, but when I went to go, the last time on the title, now it says when they ask you how many miles are on the car.
True miles on.
Now if I go to resell it, it's going to be
TMU.
Yeah, it's the mileage won't be correct in that.
Yeah.
You could try driving it backwards for a lot.
Holy moly!
No, you put it on a jack, and then you reverse it.
Yeah, it's not going to be. Yeah, I bought the car for like $2,000.
Yeah, it's not. That's not a huge impact.
I'm worried about it.
It could
Boy,
have been
that's
a lot
crazy.
worse.
I thought it was crazy whenever I went to see Ferris Bueller's Day Off, but your story is crazy. Wow. Went in the other direction.
So that's a warning. That's a warning to the wise. Please check it before you install it.
Yeah, and the warning to the like the guy was asking about rolling back the odometer. I don't know about the BMWs, but if you and I don't know how their system works, But if they change out the instrument panel and it has the
Yeah.
built-in odometer, they could, find one that has very low miles.
Well, that
Stick
goes
it in
on.
there.
That goes on the title. See, anything like that has to be revealed on the title by law. So, you can still do it, and it's still done, but it's very difficult. Back in the old days, it was routine. When I started the business, we had a guy named Ed Zuck would come by my father's Pontiac dealership every week, and
He'd zuck
we
all
would,
the cars.
would say, we want this one rolled back 1,000, that 10,000, that one there 5,000, and he'd spend the afternoon there and roll back 25 or 30 odometers, and it was just like the guy that washed the cars and fixed the tires. We also set back the odometers.
That odometer doesn't look right. Why'd you fix that for me?
And I'm telling you the truth. This is statute of limitations is up, so they can't get me on that. But that was about 50 years ago.
Back in the day, that
Rick, real quick, if
uncanny
somebody's
skill.
getting a component like that, is there a way to hook power to that to see what it says? Like, can you take a little a little battery thing just to light up the thing so you could read it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we actually
Hey,
would be able to do that.
Yeah.
Great
Is that something
story.
you could pick up a cheap? Because if somebody's buying their own parts, like John,
Hey guys, I'm gonna have to jump
we're
in.
gonna move it along. All right,
Yeah,
John.
I gotta
Great
jump
story.
in.
Thank
I
you.
got calls backed up. John,
right.
thanks for sharing.
You're welcome.
Give
See you
us a-
later. Call you next week.
All right, bye.
Give us a call next Saturday, 877-960-9960. Text us at 772-497-6530 and your anonymousfeedback.com. Take advantage of that. Dan, thanks so much for your patience and everyone else that's holding. Dan calls us from Coral Springs. Good morning, Dan.
Good morning, Nancy. Thank you for taking my call, and good morning to everyone there.
Thank you.
Last week I went ahead and had my oil change done at the at my Toyota dealership here in Broward, and while they, of course they're going to do the multi-point inspection check. Well, they always do that when they have my oil change, and so the service tech came back to me and says, during our inspection, we found out that your left front axle is leaking a little grease, and so we recommend that it gets fixed. And my first two questions was, how much is it going to cost, and how long would it take to get done? And so he quoted me a price, and then I said, it was over $600 to get it done. And then I asked him, well, how long is it going to take? And he says, well, usually something like that would be 2 hours, but since we already have it in a lift, since we did your oil change, we can probably get it done within the hour. And he says, well, I'm on my way to work, and first of all, I don't have the time right this morning, nor do I have the money right now. And so I left, and it says, all right, thank you for letting me know. But then I get an email with the recommended replacement. So my question was, a couple of questions. Number one, I'm going by somebody's word. I don't know how honest they are at the dealership to say that they found a little grease in my left front axle. So if that being the case, I don't know if I can truly trust the person who came over. But then how much would it cost for me to go to a different place to get a second opinion, to have somebody look at the axle and see if it, in fact, is leaking grease?
Probably most places, for something that would be very obvious like that, if they're looking to get your business, they'll throw it up in the air and look at it for free for you, because they're going to hope to sell you the job while you're there. They won't charge a diagnostic fee just to look at something like that, and figure $150 for the axle and about $300 labor to install it.
All right, so that's $450, and they charge, and they were quoting me like $670.
And that's going to depend on where they get the axle, but most places you can get an aftermarket axle for about $150. Yeah, that would be for like an independent shop.
Right. And so my other question was, if it is in fact leaking a little grease, how dangerous is it for me to continue driving? It's been a week I've been driving like this. Could I go several weeks, a month or two, or is that something that I can wait longer?
You could wait almost infinity on it. Eventually, you're going to start hearing some noise from the axle. The quick trick is find an empty parking lot, turn the steering wheel all the way to one side, drive in a circle, slightly accelerating forwards and backwards, and then do it the other direction. If you hear like a click, 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 click noise when you start accelerating, it's time for a new axle. That means the grease is out and that axle's getting wear.
So the answer is don't do anything for a while. It's not going to be a problem. Do the test that Rick suggested, but why rush in there and have the work done when you might never have to have it done?
Yeah, and sometimes a little bit of grease will seep out past the boot, and it'll make a little bit of a mess, but it's not. There's so much grease packed in there that it's really not going to affect it anyways.
I know I sound like I'm a very anti-car dealer. I guess I am, but when you go into almost any repair shop, car dealers and independents, these people that's where they make their money. They're paid on commission. They see something leaking, they're going to make the most of it. And in a way, maybe they should, because it could be serious. But depending on your state of mind and if you're a nervous guy, maybe you want to have it fixed. But my guess would be a 90% chance you'll never have to have that fixed. And the 10% where you could have to have it fixed could be a problem for you. You could be stuck somewhere, and then you have a problem. But if I were you, I'd gamble on it and wait till it failed the Rick test by going into the parking lot and making the hard turn one way than the other way, and listen for the click, click, click.
I appreciate your sage advice, and just like my grandfather says, a surgeon only makes money when he does surgery.
Right.
Yep.
And 2 times out of 3, when you ask for a second opinion from a doctor, it's different than the first doctor. That's the reason the insurance companies require second opinions.
Great. All right, listen, I appreciate it. I know you guys are short on time. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it, and thank you for the work that you guys do.
Thank you, Dan. Thanks for being part of the show. We're going to go to Stu or Rick, whichever one of you.
I got a few that came in. We have one here. It says, hi, I read that a large amount of unsold Chinese EVs have turned some seaports in Europe into parking lots. This is hampering the import-export of cars from other brands. In addition, the Chinese government is heavily subsidizing their EV makers and enabling them to sell cost at break-even or less. BYD wants to build in Mexico and import or export into the USA. Can Toyota, GM, Ford, and even Tesla survive this unfair trade practice? Well, we have tariffs. Isn't it 25% current tariff on Chinese vehicles?
Yeah, a huge tariff. It's BYD. Here's what I think about BYD. Nancy and I really follow Warren Buffett. I mean, I think everybody loves Warren Buffett. He's one of the richest men in the world. He's one of the nicest people in the world. He's one of the fairest people. I mean, there are very few people. He bought BYD stock 10 years ago when all they did was make batteries. And according to Warren Buffett, they're an amazing company. They have an amazing CEO, owner, part owner. He founded the company, and so it's a good company. Now, if they're backed up on electric vehicles, I believe that. I think we have overdone this electric vehicle thing. People got overexcited. And it's not going to happen as fast as a lot of people predicted. But BYD is a great company. I'd buy stock in it today. I think that in the long run, they will be one of the survivors like Tesla. I think a lot, Ford, General Motors, Stellantis, a lot of American companies, Hyundai, Korean companies, Japanese companies might not make it in the EV business, but when the smoke settles, I can guarantee you BYD will be around, and so will Tesla.
Yeah, and I think they're going to teach the world something about how to get the cost down on EVs. I mean, It might be done, I know,
True.
underhandedly with subsidies, but they're also Chinese are experts at producing at scale and getting costs down. Mm-hmm. Frank texted us something I thought was very interesting. I wanted to read it. It's something he left out from when
Jupiter Farms?
Yes, Frank and Jupiter Farms, who mystery shopped the the dealership, the Toyota Crown. He says, the one item that I wanted to bring up about yesterday's shopping report, the sales manager asked why I wouldn't buy the Crown yesterday. And my reply was that I needed to bring my wife. His reply was, be a man, buy the car today. You don't need her permission.
Oh, Lord.
Anyway, he was interested in Nancy's reply. Needless to say, he was shocked at the attitude. And I am too the second I read that. That's a clumsy attempt at
yeah, it is. But you know
brotherhood.
something, you don't hear that too often. They usually go after the woman.
Yeah.
You know, they definitely.
That's like an episode out of Mad Men.
And yeah, that's.
I want to know, was the sales manager, was she a woman? That would be really a reversal of roles.
Definitely it was. But I don't have a comment. Quite honestly, it leaves you speechless because anything's possible today. And for you sharing, you can come in and get that Crown. Don't forget, it's right there. It's on the lot. It's black. It's beautiful. It's waiting for you. It has
That's
your
right.
name on it.
Nancy, you sound like what a great pitch person. I'm all caught up. Rick, anything over there?
Well, I've got one in from Donovan here. He says, the tariffs are not going to do anything. The Volvo EX30 is an EV made in China, and they can import it into the U.S. for $35,000 and still make a profit on the vehicle with the tariff. BYD will be the largest automaker in the world before the end of the decade.
Yeah, Donna was on top of things as usual, and I'd never heard of the company
He's amazing,
until a few months
Donovan.
ago. So it's
We love you, Donovan.
yeah.
Okay. Do you
Let's
have
see.
any?
We did have an earlier one from Donovan. I wanted to bring this one because, Earl, I think you might be interested in hearing. He says, why would a finance manager tell someone to not pay off a vehicle in the first 90 days? He says, I was with a friend who purchased a car this week, and finance told him there was a prepayment penalty for the first 90 days, but I could not find it in the contract at all. This seems like a scam, so they don't have a chargeback.
It is a scam. The reason there's always a prepayment penalty. It's less, the longer you wait, but you can pay the car off anytime you want to. But in many cases, the products, the F&I people call them, the maintenance contracts, the extended warranties, the gap insurance. There are a number of products that are sold in the finance and insurance office that the dealers make large profits on, and they can only be canceled during the first 90 days. So the commission that the F&I manager made on that gap insurance and the maintenance contract and the extended service and who knows what else they sold this customer, if they don't cancel it within 90 days, he still gets his commission.
Right. They take them away. It's different in dealerships, but the salespeople in finance are protected for a brief period of time. After a period of time, they're protected. Up in that first period of time, if somebody is overly aggressively selling things or forcing things on people, they'll get a lot of these cancellations and chargebacks.
But sometimes you want to cancel it, and you'll call the dealership, and you can't get hold of the finance manager, and he doesn't return his phone calls, and people just don't want to call back. Well, the reason they don't want to call back is they want to lock in that commission, and they don't want to have to give your money back.
And it's such a silly thing to do because it won't work. Eventually, you're going to cancel your product. Okay. Anything else over there?
One other. This one just in from Guy Larrabee. He says, BYD has all new factories, great technology, etc. I've seen their cars in Europe. Their cars compare to Toyota. American manufacturers should be scared.
Yeah. Well, it's good. The people that hate Chinese cars or hate German cars or hate whatever cars, here's the thing. Competition is your friend. And if all the cars you bought had to be manufactured in the United States by American companies, you might be able to wave your flag and feel real good about being an American, but you'd be paying about twice as much for your car. Because competition is what keeps the prices down and keeps the quality up. Where do you think General Motors, what sort of cars do you think General Motors and Ford and Chrysler would be building today if Toyota had never come into the country?
Oh.
And what do you think your fuel economy would be and the quality of your car would be? America got way, way behind the times, and they were building these huge, and I'm speaking from experience because I was selling Pontiacs in the 60s, and I was also selling Toyotas in the 70s, and when I saw what Toyota was building and I'm selling Pontiacs, in a way, I didn't like it because I used to make a fortune in my Pontiac service department because they broke like crazy. And in the Toyota dealership, I couldn't make any money in the service department because the quality was so good, relatively speaking. So it didn't take Toyota long to get General Motors' attention, and Ford's and Chrysler's, and they started building better cars, higher quality, better fuel economy. And the same with China. China will be a competitor, and they will force the world to get better. And when the world gets better, you buy better cars at a cheaper price.
Absolutely. Ooh. Okay, guys, you got anything else for me? Okay, I'm going to mention something here about Nissan that Earl and I were talking about. It appeared, the article appeared in the Automotive News, and Nissan's asking dealers to adopt a standard platform online buying, and it's definitely, I was going to say it's more or less like, but it's definitely just like Amazon style.
Yeah. Right now, all dealers have different platforms, and your online experience with one Nissan dealer is different than all the other Nissan dealers. Here you have a standard platform like Amazon. Hey, you can buy the car, you can finance the car, you can do anything, and they'll deliver the car to you, just like Amazon.
Yeah, and if need be it, the only reason why you need to go to the dealership would be to test drive it.
Yeah, you got to do that.
So it's becoming easier and easier. I see do you have anything else to say, Earl, on that subject?
No, just that I'm glad to see the manufacturers doing something intelligent in response to Amazon. And instead of fighting it, they realize that the educated consumer of the 21st century is going to demand a ability to buy a car online, finance the car, and get an out-the-door price so they can shop and compare with several different dealers. So Nissan is accepting that. And I think if all the manufacturers did the same thing, Amazon wouldn't be a problem. They wouldn't be a threat. If the manufacturers and the dealers provided a clean, transparent way to buy a car online and shop and compare prices, Amazon would quit selling cars. They wouldn't be able to.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's great information. I'll share with you just for a second, and then we're going to move to the Dog of the Week. It was amazing that I was reading in the Automotive News that the car industry was compared with cocoa. I get anybody's attention? Yeah. They're talking about chocolate. They're talking about cocoa. They're talking about prices soaring on chocolate. But guess what? Everybody's still buying chocolate. They love chocolate.
Gotta have chocolate.
And they gotta have chocolate like they have to have cars. So we're paying more for tires. We're paying more for cars, whether they're new, whether they're used. And guess what? Used cars, I want to tell you, if your credit rating is low, you are really going to be taken advantage of big time. Okay, I need another show to talk about that. We're going to go to talk about Big Dog Ranch, and of course, we have a Dog of the Week, and her name is Millie, and she's 2 years old. She's a mixed breed, and she came to Big Dog Ranch, and there she is. Isn't she cute? And of course, the Big Dog Ranch is the largest cage-free ranch and no kill in the United States. And we have a video that Jonathan can take us to.
Yeah. Hi, my name is Susan. I'm here at Big Dog Ranch Rescue, and this is my friend Millie. She's a 2.5-year-old mixed breed dog, which was rescued from a high kill shelter in northern Florida, where we brought her here to the ranch as she seems to be highly adoptable. She's a beautiful dog. She's full grown at 53 pounds. She has roommates, so she gets along with other dogs. She likes toys. She likes to go for walks, and she would love nothing more than to have a family of her own. She would probably do well in a household with kids. Somebody to love on her. She likes to give kisses. Me? No, not now? Okay. Beautiful dog. Come see Millie today and give her a chance.
Yeah, perfect weather, too, to go out to Big Dog Ranch. And Stu always reminds us that the fees are paid by us, and that is a $200 savings.
Yeah, and looking at this dog, so for our terrestrial audience who are not streaming the video, I would say this is a medium-sized, 50-pound compact. Looks kind of like a
healer.
Huh?
Blue healer.
A blue healer?
Blue healer is another name for the Australian cattle dog.
Oh, I didn't know that was another name for it. It kind of looks like that. So it's like an energetic, great fun dog to have. But Nancy says, we'll take care of the adoption fees if you go through us. But this is a great time to go out with the weather.
Isn't it?
Oh yeah,
perfect weather.
We went out there. I remember all of us. We did a video shoot out there one time. It was in February. It was really cold.
It was perfect.
Yeah.
That's the perfect time to go out there. Also, I want to remind everyone of Earl's book, and that's Confessions of a Recovering Car Dealer. And the reason it's important is because the proceeds, that goes straight to Big Dog Ranch. Straight to Big Dog Ranch. You hear that dog we have in the studio? Yeah.
His name's Frederick.
Thank goodness it doesn't have fleas.
So at any rate, go to Amazon. You can purchase Earl's book, Confessions of a Recovering Car Dealer. And believe me, it's something that we always refer to. We have it in our bookcase, and it just doesn't go out of style. You can get information from that book. And that book was written how long ago? Oh, boy, I don't even want to...
In the 2000s?
Think about it.
Wasn't it? Or is it 2012?
I'm aging as we speak. Yeah. And the book, like I said, all proceeds go to Big Dog Ranch. You can go to Ron Cars, purchase it. You can go to Amazon, purchase the book. So run out to Big Dog Ranch, and you can take a look at Millie. And Jersey Mike let us know that Connie is still out there, and so many other dogs. If you can't get out there, you can go to their website and you can take a look at all their dogs, and that is Big Dog Ranch Rescue. That's bigdogranchrescue.org. So take advantage of that. Also, we are going to, we're running out of time. We've got a great mystery shopping report. And the mystery shopping report is from Napleton Kia. So sit down, everyone, and enjoy the ride. Now back to the recovering car dealer.
I'm going to say one more thing about Big Dog Ranch. We had a caller earlier that was complaining about the fact that the dogs were neutered. He felt that, well, a lot of people have that feeling because we think of our dogs as humans, and that's a good thing. But you have to understand the fact that it is the overpopulation of dogs is a terrible thing, and that's what happens when you don't neuter the dogs. And I have a little difficulty with that until I think about it. You have to think about it. You can't get emotional about it. There are dogs that are being turned loose. There are dogs that are being drowned. There are dogs that are being. We have an overpopulation of dogs. And the reason that we have the big dog ranches of the world, and there aren't many of those, but the reason we have the dog pound and the reason we have the shelters is because we have to. Dogs are running around the streets starving to death. we have to do something about that. Big Dog Ranch feels very strongly about making it. They're actually trying to make it a law in Florida to neuter your dog before you can own a dog. I don't know how far you want to go with this, but they do neuter all the dogs that come out to a Big Dog Ranch, and I think it's a good thing. If you look at it in a narrow focus, you can get upset about it.
Yeah, I don't think it's a controversial thing. I think Mike might have a version to it.
Well, it's controversial where Big Dog Ranch has been lobbying on this for years and years, spending a lot of money in the Florida legislature, and they won't go for it. So they've tried to get the law passed, and the Florida legislators do not want to do that. So there is prejudice out there.
Yeah, but don't most of the shelters, I think, that try and do that is to neuter them.
You know, it only makes sense. You know, why have all these dogs just wandering the street and hungry and abused,
making love all over the place, making dog babies.
Everywhere. So at any rate, Jersey Mike, I hope you're still listening. And Stu, he's a funny one.
I'm sorry.
I kind of flew over that.
I have an appointment coming up for my dog for his pre-surgery he's getting neutered, and I held off on him because he's a large dog, and there's some new science saying if you
which one is that?
Wally.
Mm-hmm. And Wally took that big trip.
Oh yeah.
Wally
saw the eclipse.
Yeah, he went to see the eclipse with his buddy, the other crazy dog. Anyway, Angel Lightning did another fabulous job, and we so appreciate her and her talents. And speaking of talents, we appreciate Stu, his talents in writing. What a creative writing he has also on the Mystery Shop of Napleton Kia. Now, and you can vote on the Mystery Shop at 772-497-6530. Now back to the recovering car dealer.
Okay, Agent Lighting. I am Agent Lighting. I arrived mid-morning, and no one was sitting at the front desk, so I wandered around the sales floor for a few minutes. Eventually, a salesman approached me. "Can I help you?" he asked. "I'm interested in the Telluride," I replied, pointing to a blue one on the floor. "Is this a new color?" "Now you're putting me on the spot," he chuckled. "Let's look at the window sticker." After a moment, he added, "It may be new to the 2024 Telluride line, but I'm not sure." "Well, I really like it," I exclaimed. There was a Monroney label where it belonged, stuck with the original factory adhesive to a rear window. Now, we make a big deal out of this because this happened in South Florida. It also happened at a Kia dealership, and it happened at a Napleton Kia dealership. So in the rest of the country, it is unusual to find Monroney labels where they're supposed to be by federal law. But in South Florida, usually you don't find a Monroney label where the law says it should be. So kudos right now to this particular dealership, which is unusual, as I say it. He spent the next salesperson I'm referring to now, spent the next 10 to 15 minutes sharing all the safety features. That's a good thing that the Telluride offers. The higher-end models even have an alert for motorcycles, bicycles, and pedestrians, he informed me. So everything's getting safer. Do you have an outside that I could see, one outside that I could see and drive, I asked. "Let's go to my desk and I'll see." He suggested and stopped and apologized. "I'm so sorry I didn't introduce myself or get your name. My name is Attilio." Went over to his desk. He looked at the inventory. "I had the exact same one outside. Let's go look." He grabbed the keys. "It may be in the back. You're welcome to walk with me, or I can go and get it and bring it here for you." So once again, in week after week, we found cars that Agent Lightning was looking for was not only available, but there were the colors she wanted. There was more than one to choose from. Sometimes there was a very large number to choose from. So the inventories are up. It's becoming a buyer's market, reversing from what was strictly a seller's market, and this is good for you, the consumer. Okay, back to the shopping report. I opted to go out for a walk and look at the car outside. We walked all the way to the back of the lot where the car was parked in the middle of a pack. Sure enough, it was an exact match with identical MSRP. So here we got a whole bunch of Tellurides. Tilio opened it up and had me get into the driver's seat, started up. To move it out, he would have had to move at least 3, maybe 4 cars. So oversupply. We have, as I say, right now, the manufacturers are getting worried because the dealers are slowing down their ordering. They're incentivizing buying cars. They're going back to the infamous stair-step financing. So it's really an all-time high inventory that we're seeing for most manufacturers. Not all of them, but most. He scratched his head. Attilio, you didn't drive it. I said, are there going to be any surprise markups? I pressed, letting him know I'm looking for these for quite some time. He laughed. You probably know more about them than I do. Back inside of the desk, he gathered all the usual information from me. Then he excused himself to talk to his sales manager. He was only gone for about 4 minutes, returned with a Napleton sales worksheet. Yes, I did say Napleton. So I know for you regular listeners, you're not believing that this is a Napleton dealership, but it is. The top line was MSRP, $49,175. They added a $149 private tag fee. They added agency fee, the $129 e-tag filing fee, a $1,098 doc fee, service fee before sales tax, and a $450 tag fee, which is probably pretty much legitimate. That's $1,376 worth of nonsense. Bottom line price was $54,451.62. I said nothing for a moment and then said, it felt like I was creeping out of my budget. I mentioned another Telluride online for less money. It was priced around $47,000. I showed him the ad on my phone and the deal, $47,875 MSRP, discounted to $47,396. So here again, we're seeing MSRP being discounted. Didn't see that 6 months ago. Without missing a beat, Attilio asked eagerly, if I could get this one for you at that price, will you buy right now? That's SOP, right? I mean, if I give you this price, will you buy right now? Looking for commitment. That's old school. I laughed. Well, as much as I want to say yes, I need to talk it over with my spouse. He said he's cool with that and said he too needed to talk to his boss, Sammy, and left. A few minutes later, he returned and asked if I was ready to call my husband. Sammy said he'll step away and give you some space. Unfortunately, referring to my husband, he's in a position where he cannot take a phone call, and he works until 3 to 4 in the morning. Attilio said, this deal won't last that long. Well, you get the pressure, turning up the pressure. Deal won't last that long. The manager's staying late for you to start the weekend off with a sale and is honoring the online price. He then turned over another worksheet. This one didn't match the advertised price, but the selling price was identical to the MSRP of the advertised Telluride before they added the $1,376 in junk fees. I said it was great to see them try for me, but I was clear my husband played an equal role in the decision. I thanked him for his time and asked for his business card. I've been here since December, salesman Attilio was saying, and I still don't have my own cards, but pretty sloppy.
That's 6 months now.
Then there's this December, they haven't even given his cards yet. But I'll write my number down for you, Attilio said. He added that he works until 7 p.m. and emphasized that this deal is only good for today. Every time I say this, it's laughable. And, of course, you regular listeners know, you new listeners, I address when I say it's just old school high pressure forcing you to make a decision that you don't want to make. You're talking about a $40,000 or $50,000 product, and they're asking you to get this quote-unquote low price, which is not really a low price. You have to buy it now, and they don't even want you to talk to your partner. about it. You don't want to think about it. And there can only be one reason for that, and you all know, you regular listeners, it's ulterior. Salesman then asked me to follow him over to meet Sammy, his sales manager. We walked over to his office, and Sammy greeted me with a big smile. "What can I do to earn your business right this minute?" So, now, you got to buy now. I need to talk to my husband because there's no way I can make a purchase this big without talking to him first, I said firmly. He understood and urged, "Hurry back, this is only good for today," adding that just last month they were still going for $5,000 over MSRP, which was probably true. Maybe. I mean, I thanked them both and left. So there you have it. And I repeat to your regular listeners, this is a Napleton dealership. And, of course, you know Napleton is infamous. I started to say in South Florida, he's infamous all over the United States. Yeah. Federal Trade Commission's all over Napleton. He's been fined many times, and his dealerships typically are the worst of the worst. Yeah. So we grade on the curve, and I say that because just because it's a Napleton dealership, you have to look at this now, relatively speaking. You have to ask yourself, certainly for an average car dealership, is that below average? And we both know that for a Napleton dealership, that's not below average. So think about that. C is average, A is very rare, D or F is, very rare.
Exactly. And after, I'll share this story with the audience.
I forgot, yeah.
You and I, ironically, we were at Carmine's and we were having lunch, and while we were waiting for lunch. Yesterday, yeah. And while we were waiting for lunch, I had some material on the table. I was looking at the Camry XL. Yeah. XLE, whatever. Anyway, Ilana walked up to me and she said to me, she says, "Are you going to buy a car?" I says, "No." I says, "But I can sell a car." And she just smiled at me and she said, "I just bought a car." She says, "I wished I would have met you last month." And I says, "Oh, really?" And so she shared her story with us about Napleton
Kia.
And ironically, and it was a sad story. It's the stories are more, how can I say, you get more emotional when someone walks up to you, especially this young girl from Romania. She was here. She was working very hard. She shared her story with us as to how she was taken advantage of. She looked at me and she said, "I'll be paying for the car for the rest of my life." She said that they overcharged her by $7,000. She went into all these details, and your heart just went out to her. And like I said, there's so many people that pass the doors of Napleton. And if it sounds like I'm bashing Napleton, I am indeed. And guess what? There's only a few words that I can use on the air without being, well, I think Jonathan...
I said bleeped.
I think Jonathan has a button over there, or he'll just come over and knock me off the stool. But at any rate, Napleton, how in the world can you sleep at night? How can any of you sleep at night and do what you do to the consumer, taking advantage of people that,
Well, don't prejudice this mystery shopping report. Now, remember, we grade on the curve.
And you'll see that I do grade on the curve. And this Napleton report, this mystery shopping report, and I'm looking at, I have to look at it 3 times, mystery shop of Napleton Kia, because this mystery shop, I cannot believe, this is better than any mystery shop that I've read. But back to Elena.
From Napleton Kia. Or from the Napleton dealership, yeah.
And it's not better than Mullinex. Yeah, I thought it was pretty remarkable. I mean, what I noticed, first of all, there was not a bevy of dealer installed equipment. I'm wondering if that has anything to do with the punishment. Maybe it's taken this
no
long to
addendum
trickle
sticker.
down to the
And
stores.
the Maroni label on the window.
On the window, and no addendum and no addendum items. It really felt like just like a normal shop. I don't think it was great. I mean, there was pressure, it was bothersome, and they still got the fees in there. But price wise, it's not really out of line. I mean, it's high because you're over MSRP, but and a lot of things are under it. But for what it could have been, wow. If I put it on a curve of Napleton dealerships, it gets an A+.
A what?
Right? If it was on the curve of all Napleton
It'd be an
dealerships, yeah, an A+. But it's not. It's on the curve of all South Florida metro dealerships. So I'm going to give them a C. It's a C for Napleton.
That's amazing.
Oh, boy.
Okay. Well, we've got Joseph Kelleher says D+. Without the junk fees, would have been higher. Tom Steckel says Napleton, the quintessential F. I feel badly every time I see one of their cars on the road. Cliff's Picks, junk fees, great for an upside-down buyer, but not this shopper. D. There's plenty of upside-down buyers, great for the repo man. Tim Gilliland, junk fees equal D, and that's good for today and the foreseeable future. Johnny Z. Fradley, they're getting a little better, D-. Scott H. Sr., D, too much pressure and junk fees. Brian Sidlatko, with an oversupply of vehicles, they can do better. Don't like the pressure to buy right now. I'll give them a D. Cram1624 says he wants to know what's happening with the cars legislation. My own grade on it, I'm going to say I a little heavy on the junk fees and had a little pressured in, but I'm still going to say a C. I think middle of the road. I didn't see anything unreasonable, and Attilio seemed to go out of his way to try to be really helpful, wanted to get her a test drive in it, and he really knew the product well, apparently. So
I just had a flashback. The cars legislation made me think about the Federal Trade Commission, and as I was thinking about that, and I'm having regular conversations now with the Federal Trade Commission and my corporate attorney because we are filing an amicus brief with the circuit court in Texas to get the cars legislation back on course to become law with the Federal Trade Commission. And in my conversations with the Federal Trade Commission attorneys, I've chided them a little bit about Napleton. And I said, I really hope we can get this cars legislation passed, but what good are regulations if they're not enforced? And I said, the worst car dealer that we ever mystery shop is Napleton. And I'm speaking now to the Federal Trade Commission attorney. I said, and you have regulations right now that he regularly breaks. You have gone out and you find them at dealerships in other states, and his other dealerships that you haven't find them on, and even the ones you find them on, are ignoring. I said, you just don't have the team, the staff to enforce the regulations you pass. So I wonder if I go to that attorney and he says, we will be talking more to the Napleton people. So maybe the Federal Trade Commission is turning up the heat on Napleton. I don't know.
Yeah, they did. It was one of the dealerships down here was part of those fines, and we shopped them afterwards, and they were still doing it.
Yeah,
they were. Yeah, but it kind of gives you goosebumps. It does give you goosebumps what Earl is trying to achieve, and cracking down on these junk fees is going to take some time. It's going to take definitely a lot of effort and a lot of patience. Ladies and gentlemen, I am going to give Napleton reluctantly C-.
I'll give him a C. I'm torn.
Well, like we can say they have a C for this shop, but I don't know if I am comfortable saying that it's on the recommended dealer list. I mean, there's a history. You don't just suddenly
That's a good point.
One shop doesn't do it. we could give them a C, and people can judge
Yeah,
it
yeah,
based on
that-
that. But
we
they're not
definitely, we
I don't
definitely got to
rec-
go back. We definitely got to go back. Yeah.
Yeah. So not on the recommended list, but a good report.
Yeah.
And you can go to, has everyone done voting?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. You can go to Good Dealer, baddealers.com, and you can check out all of the dealers. And I believe that I'm trying to see, Jonathan, we have 3 minutes left. Is there something you'd like to mention, Earl?
No, just the fact that this particular shop, with the coincidence of the waiter's assistant that we had at lunch the other day that was taken advantage of by this dealership, is the Vigilantes, Earl's Vigilantes. These type of people, I mean, she's from Romania. She's here probably on a green card. How much money do you make as a waiter's assistant in a restaurant? And they took advantage of her and oversold her, and she's got payments she can't afford. The car might be repossessed. These victims are the ones that don't listen to Earl on cars, and they don't read the consumer advice. And you need to find people like this in your neighborhood, friends of friends,
Yeah.
whoever, and help them. So please consider Earl's Vigilantes.
Yeah, I second the motion, Earl's Vigilantes. We are out of time. Thank you, everyone, for being part of the show. You are an important part of the show. Texters, the YouTubers, the callers, the listeners, all of you. Stay tuned next week. We'll be right back here at 8 a.m. on the Oldies Channel.